Good evening, Rabbi Sai. Good Vach. I don't know what it is for you guys. Some of you are coming off Yontif. Some of you are in Chicago at 12:15 in the morning. Beautiful. It's Mamish Kiddush Hashem to sit and learn. Some of you I see on Zoom here. We have over 40 people in different parts of the world. I have Mark Ashkenazi from New York. It's already 1:15 in the morning in New York. I don't know what he's planning on doing exactly. Go to sleep. Well, I guess that's what it's going to be next week. When I'm in New York, it's going to be a 12:15 share. Mamish like this, 12:15 share. Okay. You got to get your body used to it, Mark. Yeah. Okay, who else is on here from New York? You Israeli guys, doesn't matter. It's only 8 o'clock by you. Chaim Snow doesn't matter. Yoeli from Lakewood is on. All right, fine. Y'all? Okay. So, Rabbi Isai, we just finished Shir number 1 on Daf Nun Daled Amud Beis. We are going to be doing Daf Nun Hey, which is tomorrow's Daf. And this is for Eretz Yisrael, so that we have a Kvios and a Shir every single day. It doesn't mean that whoever's here now doesn't have to learn tomorrow. We have to learn tomorrow. There's every day, a Yomi. We are tomorrow. Halachically we are, but then that means we didn't learn yesterday. And there's going to be another shir tomorrow at 11:15, correct. But on Yontif, every day we have to learn. And that's what I was, so right now we're going to do Daf Nun Hey. Tomorrow morning in Chicago, 11:15 Chicago time, 12:15 New York time. Eretz Yisrael, obviously they can't watch it. We're going to do Daf Nun Vav. Very interesting daf. It happens to be a very simple daf with many, many pictures. There was over 28 pictures in Kol HaLashon book and many, many pictures on today's daf. It promises to be a very interesting daf. Today's shir, Lilu Nishmas Imi Merasi, Rusbas Mordechai, and the Rosh Hashiva in South Africa, Reb Avram Tanzer, who's just nifter, I think it was yesterday. Reb Avram Tanzer is a Rosh Hashiva there for 50 years in the Yeshiva College. He was a Rav. He was a Rav for 50 years and a Rosh Hashiva there. So it's sponsored Le'ilu Nishmasoi by our good friend. I have to say his name. I don't care. He didn't tell me not to. By our good friend Leon Welcher. So it happens to be I spoke to Leon today, and he told me that he had the schus of calling up the Rosh Hashiva Eruvin Kippur. He said, why not? He hasn't spoken to him in a long time. He spoke to him for a bit, so he had a schus to speak to him right before his Ptira. Tremendous. All right. But I didn't know that he wanted to sponsor. I just noticed that now. So I apologize for not sponsoring the other daf. But his neshama should have an aliyah, and we should not hear of any more tsar. And it should be he should be a Melitz Yosher for Leon Welcher and the whole South African community, and for all of Klal Yisrael. All right, so we're holding all the way in the bottom Daf Nun Daled Amud Beis. Rava Omar Asay Mo'adim La Torah. You should make special times and places for Torah. You should be Koivei Itim Vaynu Omar Avdimi Bar Chama Bar Doisa. Daf Nun Hey Amud Aleph. Torah is not in the heavens, it's not in the opposite side of the ocean. Meaning, you're lucky that you have yeshivas here, you have people that learn Torah here, but if not, if you're in a situation where it's far away, it's not an excuse not to learn Torah. You would have to go to the heavens. You'd have to travel the ocean to get to where you need to get to learn Torah. You have to chase it across the ocean. Rav Omar, once again, no, I don't know if they changed the gears here. Rav Omar, loy b'shamayim, loy timotzei b'mishum magbia daite olea kashamayim. Loy b'shamayim is referring to Balgaiva. Somebody has his nose up in the heaven, in the air. So Torah doesn't stay with somebody who's a Balgaiva with the Torah. Look at me, look how much I know, look how smart I am. And it's not going to be It's not going to stick around with somebody who thinks that he's so great and he's so bright like those. There won't be in the gasi ruach and the balgaiva. You won't find Torah in people, the businessmen that travel a lot, and the peddlers. Although they say the Marsha was a businessman, he used to go to the market. But the point is that it's not all day. You're not in business all day. How are you going to learn Torah if you're in business all day? People like that, they don't get to keep the Torah. Peddlers all day. Yeah, the Marsha used to go to the marketplace, but he wrote the Marsha, and he used to learn Torah all day. Once in a while, he went to the marketplace to do his business. Torah Abonon. Ketzad Ma'abri Misar. Okay, so here we go, Rabbi Isai. Let me make some room here for all these charts. Phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's like we live in a generation. This guy spent $1 million on the Sefer Kol HaLashon, and if you do the math, 28 pictures. Yo, that's it. No more water until the end of the year, okay?
Sorry.
Thank you. Don't be sorry.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. All right, good. I'm going to have to go to the bathroom soon if you give me too much water. All right. So, no, I mean, do the cheshbon, 28 pictures. It comes out to like, $20,000 worth of pictures just on this daf. How do you start your tchum when you have a city? So you can go through all the different shapes of cities. Now, when you have a tchum, let's say you have a city, it's 2,000 amas by 2,000 amas, just a typical city. So it's a nice square. You go from the square 2,000 amas in each direction. But what if it's not a square? What if it's a circle? What if it's a rectangle? What if it's a bow shape? Different shapes. I'm going through the shapes now. Aruka kamoishihi. And the Gemara is going to explain. If it's rectangle, you leave it as is. Agula, if it's round, oisin lazaviyos. You square it out. Which I didn't say yesterday.
I asked you yesterday.
Yeah, you asked me yesterday. Here we go. Now we learned it today. What did I tell you yesterday? The wrong pshat. Wrong pshat. Okay. Here's the right pshat. Agula oisin lazaviyos. You square it out. Mirubas ein oisin lazaviyos. If it's square, you don't make it anything. You don't do anything. The Gemara is going to explain everything. What if it's here? So, picture number one, Rabbi Isai. Here we go. You have, let's say, a V-shaped city, sort of. So you just square it out. Here we go. Beautiful. You see, this is the shape of the city in the white. You square it out to the blue. Now you have a nice square. Pretend that there's houses filled in over here. Yeah, sort of like a triangle. That's what it is. The bottom line is you got to get to a square. Any shape you have, you get to a square, basically. Not any shape, but some shapes. What if a house juts out? Let's see where that picture is. It really belongs somewhere else. But here's the picture. You have a house right over here. You see this house jutting out? I painted it in red. So you can see it, red roof. It pokes out. It's not in line with other houses. So that city gains whatever you start from that house. That house is your marker. That's where you start from. The Gemara is going to explain, what if two houses pop out? You stretch out a string, so it goes from the outside surface of your furthest house, the house that bumps out, like we had yesterday when we had the towers in the city. It starts from the furthest point of the city, the furthest house. Now we're not just talking about houses like random, they're in line over here, you see, they're in line. But one of them juts out a little bit. Juts out over here. So you get a few extra feet over there. What if the city is a bow shape? So, the bow shape... Yeah.
It's not out. Why isn't it even?
Yo wants to know why it juts out. Why is it not even? Anybody have a good answer for him? Here's a keshas. It's a very good kasha. Maybe on the ride home tonight. At 1 o'clock, I'll tell you the answer, okay? Okay. So, basically the city is in a bow shape. A bow has, I don't know what it's called in English, a string. In Hebrew it's called a yaser. This green line is the string, the imaginary string that you have. So it's a bow shape. Well, a bungalow colony? Not mamish, but okay.
A half a clock.
Half a?
Time. Clock.
Okay. Oy kimin gam. Why are my charts not in order? I thought I ordered them up here. Here, kimin gam. Yo mixed them up. When I wasn't looking, he mixed them up, he says. Kimin gam. It looks like a gimel, or like what we call a reish. So since it's, you fill in the blank, you square it out, you make a nice square out of this reish. This is a upside down L. Here, we'll make it an L. You make a square out of an L. Fine. That's a gam. Keshes we're going to see a lot more soon. You fill in the keshes, you fill in the entire area over here with fake houses, imaginary houses, and memela, you start your tchum from this green line. The tchum goes from here 2,000 amas downwards. You can see the line right over here, 2,000 amas from this imaginary line. Omar Mar, we just learned, let's go through each one now. Arucha kamoshi, if it's a rectangle, leave it as is. Pshita, what are you supposed to do? Chop off the rectangle to make it into a square? Loitzricha, no, the opposite. Da'aricha uktina, I would think you should add to the rectangle to make a rectangle a square. I think I even have a picture for this. Yeah, here. Not that we need a picture, but if they already designed it and put the money into it, might as well use it. I don't know if you could see it. I don't see it so well on my screen here, but you guys might have it larger. You see, there's a red line here. So I think that you take this narrow rectangle, square it out, make it nice and big. No, you don't. Okay. Mao the same elitin law, pusio aurka, kamashmala, you should make the width the same size as its length. You don't. Murubas ain't in los. If it's square, you don't give it corners. Pshita, loitzricha, says the Gemara. Listen to this. This is amazing. Why would I give corners to a square? A square has corners. Why would I do that? Says the Gemara, loitzricha, the merabah v'loy merabah b'ribu oilam. It's not in line with the world. It's not facing north and south. It's on an angle here. Here's the picture. The square is a beautiful square, but here's east, west, or in English, north, south, east, west. So you think that you have to square it out, that the flat line should be exactly towards north, not, huh? No, it's a square, but the square needs to be this way because north is up. It's a square and an angle. They made the square the wrong way. If this is north, this is south, perhaps you have to square it out that your straight line should be towards south, north, and the straight line should be towards south. I would think so. Mao, the same you guys decided to make a funny shaped city, square, but not in the direction of the world. The world has straight lines, and you're not in line with the world. So maybe you should straighten it out with the world and make a square to the world. Kamash Malon, no. Rabbi, so you're going to have to excuse the guys in Chicago getting tired. They're going to have a lot of shtusim tonight. Including for myself. Hashta bais echad amris, if one house comes out, and you say you draw a straight line from that house, shnei batim mibayah. If you have two houses on a line, in that same line, so of course two houses should create the new line. Lo yitzricha mishnei rucha. Says the Gemara, what we're talking about here, and I cheated before I used that picture, I have no idea where it is now. Oh, here. If you look closely, you'll see there's two houses on this side and one on this side. Yeah? Two houses on both sides. So you get an extra couple feet on this side, extra couple feet on the other side. That's the chiddush here. Now let's jump into the arrow. If the city was built like an arrow, like a bow, not an arrow, a bow. So what you do is, make sure that the YouTube is on, okay? Every once in a while, make sure that it doesn't. And how much battery do I have left, Yosef? Tell me how much battery, because I have a battery pack here in case we have to. Don't touch. Don't touch the screen. No.
I did.
Come here. Good? All right.
25%?
Only 25% here. We got to use this battery. Here. You know how to plug it in?
Yeah.
Let's see. Where's the wire? Oy
In your house.
Oh, I have the wire. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Okay. Plug in over here and over there. Very good. Okay, weiter. We're doing good. So, we're talking about a bow. Just be careful with the phone. The phone is moving too much. Okay, that's it. Very good. So, what we're talking about, this is Pasha. You fill this whole area in, here's the line, you go 2,000 amas from the line. Yeah, the straight line. Omar Rav Huna ira asu kikeshes im yesh ben shnei roshel pachis ma'arba alofim ama moedin lo min hayeser vim lav moedin lo min hakeshes. So the Gemara very simple. If from this first house to the last house there's more than 4,000 amma, what does that mean? If you guys remember, and Aryeh said the other day, the case of the cave. Remember the cave? You come out of the cave and you have 2,000 amma. If they overlap each other, so over here also you have two tchumim. Here's 2,000 amma and here's 2,000 amma. If they overlap each other, then we're okay. Then we could base our tchum from this green line and downwards. However, if there's more than 4,000 amma from this point to this point, that's more than two tchumim, then you have to measure from up here. You have to start from the houses. You don't get this imaginary fill. You can't fill it up. So halacha number one is, and the Gemara is going to elaborate a little bit later on this, but it has to be less than 4,000 amma. Now, there's a very interesting taisvus, and that's why I took this picture, because this includes the taisvus. Meaning, if from the third house, for instance, from the third house and the third house, you draw a line, and that's less than 4,000 amma, so you could start your tchum from that line. In other words, you don't have to go all the way back to this house, this taisus. That's why there's a couple lines here in this picture. You see? There's a line over here, line over here. A nice picture in the art scroll. This is taisus from the art scroll. This one right over here. Higher. Oh, for the YouTube. You can see in the art scroll, it's dark over here, right? So the dark part is fine. It's less than 4,000 amos. So I can use that as my new tchum. This picture over here. Okay? Fine. Shkoyach. Just to confuse us a little bit, but okay, fine. Umi Amar Ravuna Achi. Did Ravuna really say this? Amar Ravuna Choy Ma'aser Shenifritza. So, I missed this one. This is a nice picture. Let's go back for a second. This is a nice picture. If you have a round city, You square it out nicely with the blue lines, because I drew it. I had to spend time drawing so that it's nice. And you get this extra corner here that you wouldn't have had otherwise. If you just do 2,000 amas from the circle, you wouldn't have this extra 400 amma, which we'll discuss more length.
Square it and then you make another square?
No, we'll talk about that later. That's a whole different story. That's tomorrow. Here's a city. What happened was, I'm just going to tell you because I'm tired, and this is what I went through my head as I was learning this. Basically, there's a group of women standing over here, and they had, like, let's say 100 women, and 2 Israeli cockroaches showed up, and they just ran right through the city. That was my, I don't know, fine. It was and they destroyed the wall, they destroyed everything in their way. Okay? But it used to be a full city, this thing. So how much? There's 141 amma. What's 141 amma? 141 amma is 2 times, there's 2 times 70. Right? We said that karfaf, we learned in the beginning of Masechet, karfaf, 70. 70 and a third. So this is 141 and 2/3. Okay? Says the Gemara. No, I said my math is off. 141 and a third. Because that's 70 and 2/3. 70 and 2/3 times 2 is 141 and a third. So what's the cash here? Hold on a second. Says the Gemara, how do you have more than 141? How does Rav Huna say that if you have less than 4,000 amma, you have 4,000 amma, that's a lot of ammas, between side to side. Over here he says all you could have is 141 amma. That's the max that you could have between these two. And over here he's saying they could have, where's the keshes? Oh. And over here he's saying you could have 4,000 between the two. The Gemara wants to make a comparison between this case, here's a city and here's a city, and you could have a 4,000 amma gap between the two cities, so to speak. And over here, your gap could only be 141 amma. So Gemara says the obvious answer. As soon as you read it, you know the answer. This city is completely open through and through. So you actually have a 141 gap that goes through the entire city. This city is connected. There's no gap. There's a difference from here to here, from one end of the city to the other end of the city. There's a difference of 4,000 amma. But it's not a gap through and through. The noisim karfav lezu v'karfav lezu. So what's Rav Huna adding over here in this case? Rav Huna is saying that you get 70 amma for each side of a city. Here's 70 and here's 70. Together it's 141. But Rav Huna already said this halacha that every city gets 70 amma, 70 and 2/3 amma. He already told it to us. Now, if you get, just to understand, if you get 70 and 70, and this is considered 141, so this is considered one whole city. If this is considered a whole city, one city, so if I'm walking from here to here in this direction, going this way, then my city starts over here, it ends over here, and I get 2,000 amma from this point going this way. But if these are two separate cities, then my tchum starts at this point. This is the end of my city. So because I give you 2 karfifos, 2 bonus, what's a good word for a karfaf? No. Not an extension, okay, whatever the word is. Boundary, yeah, but like a little bit of a buffer. I think a buffer is a good word. A nice you got a 70 amma buffer. So if I take this buffer and this buffer, I put them combine them together, now my city becomes one, and now my tchum starts over here. Okay. Ravuna told it to us. Now we're going to turn to Daf Yomi Beis, sponsored by Mark Steinberg. Schus for Shidduch for his son Yitzchak Pesach Yehuda ben Meir Yosef, and by Mr. Anonymous. Hatzloch in Yiddishkeit, and a schus for his family to be Torah Dike Yidden. Rabbi Isai, if you're Mr. Anonymous that sent in $5,000 today to MDY, please let me know who you are. And don't say it's you, because I have ways to tell. My brother told me it was me. I said, yeah, but it wasn't $5,000. He said, yeah, it's $5,400. I said, wrong. Next. So anyways, I have a simon.
Ravelli, it was me. It was me.
So why did you send me that email to ask me who it was? He's the one that notified me about it. Shkoyach. I think I know what it is, because somebody sent me a message and said, did you get any nice donations recently? This is probably him. All right. Zok Te'ele Gemara. I need these things here. Shkoyach. All right. So we're turning the page now. Rav Huna said this halacha about karfifois, about the 70 amma. Why did he have to say it again by this case of a city that was breached by an army of soldiers, of whatever you want to say? Just ran through the city, right through the middle, and they left a 141 gap. Isn't that the same halacha as saying that a city gets a 70 amma buffer times two? There's two cities they should get two buffers. We learned noisim karfiv leir. Every city gets a buffer. In other words, according to Reb Meir, when you want to measure the tchum, you don't jump from the wall. You do your tchum from the buffer. So you get 2,000 amas plus 70 and 2/3. You do it from the 2/3. Hillel, what are you doing on? Why are you listening to this? This is not for you. Every day is a daf. You should be watching this Matzah Yom Tov. Okay, fine. And you want to, if it's just Chazar, it's fine. Oh, if you have two cities, like so, so I put a little bit of a buffer in there. Here's Rav Huna that said this halacha. He says you get a buffer 70 plus 70. No, that's exactly what we're talking about. Here's two beautiful cities. They have nice walls. You get 70 plus 70, 141. Over there, in this case, it's not such a beautiful city. It used to have its glory days, and now something ran through it. A tornado ran right through the center of it. But it's also two cities. Look, two cities, identical. Says the Gemara. Fine, you have two cities, you get 70 amma, you don't get 141, but Rav Huna is the one that said you get 141. Tzricha, they're very different. Look, this city was perfect once upon a time. Sorry. These guys. This one right over here, that was once upon a time a city. It was one city. So Mamela, I would say, okay, it was a mutterdika place, everything was great. This whole area was part of the city. So now all I'm doing is I'm putting a band-aid and then I'm attaching it back together to where it was once upon a time. But when it's two separate cities like this, it never had a time that was mutter to carry from here to here. So why should I add buffers here? You know what? Over here they deserve two buffers because it's two cities. Each city needs a buffer to take care of their business. Whatever they do on the outside of their wall, they put their wood there. Every city needs a little bit of a buffer. So it's two cities times two, you get 141. But over here, there was never a buffer to begin with. They built the city without a buffer. This just happened now. It's a new invention that this happened. So why should they get any buffer? They're not used to buffers to begin with. So you want to give them 2 buffers? Why should they get 2? Emeloi tzricha. Says the Gemara. V'kama have ben yeser lekeshes. Yeser is the string of an arrow. How much room is there between this string and the city? Talking about, again, a case where it's less than 4,000 amma from here to here. Rabbi Baravuna Amar Alpayim amma, all you get is a total distance of 2,000 amma from here to here. From the bow till the string, 2,000 amma. Even more. I love this. This I love. Why? Listen to this svara. It makes a lot of sense. It can be even more than 2,000 amas. I'm sure you guys are thinking about it as well. Say the Rabba Berei, the Rabba Barav Huna Mistabra makes a lot of sense. The boy Hada Asi Derech Batim. Listen to this. What if this guy wants to go somewhere? He could just go through the entire city. He'll make his way to the opposite and go. Why are you limiting him to here? Why should he start his tchum up top on top of the bow? If he really wants to, he'll take a trip, a mutter take a trip on Shabbos. He's allowed to walk through the neighborhood on Shabbos. He'll get here and start his 2,000 am over here. Why are you limiting him? He has a way out of it, so it doesn't make any sense to stop him and say, "Oh, it's more than 2,000 amas, you can't do it anymore." Fine, Rabbi Yisai, we're done with that. Brand new sugya. Yes. Yeah. More than 4,000 amas, that's the halach that we said before. Then this doesn't work. Unless you have, like over here, less than 2, like Tosfos said. Over here, 2,000, in the center, 2,000, whatever. So where's that picture? Just from yesterday, why not throw it in? If we're doing a lot of pictures, might as well. Gedudiyos are a churva. You have, not a churban, a churva. You have ruins. You have a lot of these in Eretz Yisrael, actually. You go on the highway, or in Bet Shemesh, just in the middle of the neighborhood. All of a sudden, like the government doesn't allow you to touch it. You have to keep it there. It could be only a couple hundred years old, but they're mostly like 1,000 years old, let's say. Fine. You have a churva. So the city limit, you would think this is the city right over here. No, it goes by the churva. If there's a churva within 70 amma of the city, we start past that point. Mike Dudiyos, what does it mean? We're talking about 3 walls with no ceiling. What happens if you have 2 walls and the ceiling caved in? Oh, I'm sorry, and it has a ceiling. It has a ceiling. Oh, so now, very good, easy stuff. We're going to tell you what's good, and then we're going to take the same exact thing and say it's not good. Mamish double lashon here. This is how you make. This is part of a city. Nefesh. We spoke about nefesh, the oil, right? I already got Shlomi Klein. Shlomi Klein called me up. I'll tell you. You come to New York, got to take it to the oil. Here's the oil. Oil is part of the city. Nefesh. It's called a nefesh. If it has 4 amos, nefesh is arba amos, arba amos. Vagesher. Remember the toll booth on the bridge, right over here, toll booth. That kever, sheesh bohem beis dira, and a tombstone that has some sort of, you could live in there, beis haknesa, sheesh bo beis dira lachazon. You know, they used to have it, I guess they still have in certain places. On top of the shul, the shamash lives on top of the shul. So it's not just a place to daven in, but it's a place to live in. So anything that has a beis dira is considered, that's where you start the city, yeah? Really? So that's not mamish. Oh, well, yeah, no, it doesn't have, a beis dira. A beis dira means a place that you live in, and it could be, you know, mukaf ladira. It's to I don't know, people hang out there all night long. Or beis avadis kechavim shesh bo beis dira. In a goyisha place, monastery or something that has a place to live in, like Kamarim, for the Kamarim. Voruvos, stables, voitzaros, silo, place to keep your wheat, shabasodos, vishbem beis dira. People live there to guard it. Vaburgonim shabasoicha. If you have huts in the field, va'abai shabayam. You have a house in the middle of the ocean. What is it called? The lighthouse. Yeah, the lighthouse in the middle of the ocean. The Gemara is going to say it's a little different than a lighthouse, but we can understand what it means. It's all part of the city. And these are those that are not part of it. Now the same thing that we just said, it doesn't meet the criteria. If it's oil that has two open walls on both sides, a bridge without a toll booth, the guy doesn't live there. And a shul that doesn't have a house for the shamish like this shul right here. By the way, I have to say a tremendous yishkoach to Rabbi Twersky. He's never going to hear this, but a big yishkoach to Rabbi Twersky for hosting us and allowing us to be here. I wasn't so nice to him. I saw Matzah Shabbos, he's coming off the Malav Malka, but I was already a few minutes late. I was like, bye. I hope he wasn't insulted by that. But okay. Ubeis I would tell him, Yosef, that I felt bad. Ubeis or a church that doesn't have a place for the priest to live in. And a stable and silo doesn't have the beis dira, and a pit and an elongated pit and a cave, and some a pigeon place. Kids are in the field. That's not enough. Just because you have pigeons, that doesn't make it a beis dira. You have to live there. And a house on a ship. Ship is constantly moving. You can't consider that a city. So it's not part of the city. We said all this for one thing. You have oil that was breached on two of its walls, through and through. My love, no, isn't that what we're asking? We're asking if you have two walls and a roof, is that also like three walls with not a roof? In other words, could that be considered part of the city? No, here's a case. You have oil with a roof, and the wind came through and breached your two walls, but it has a roof. Loi, the lekatikra. No, it's not a good raya. Fine, all that, and we just pushed it off in a second.
Well, what about a city on the water? The aircraft carrier?
No, it moves. No good. Bayish bayam, but a house on the water, lemeichazi. Who makes a house on the ocean? It could be an aircraft carrier. It could house how many soldiers? Like 5,000, 3,000 to 5,000 soldiers on one aircraft carrier. But it's not a city because it moves. But a house, a tiny little lighthouse in the middle of the ocean, what do you do with it? It's to take things off the ship and on the ship to move things around. You store it there, then you come back and you grab it. So we said a cave is not part of the city. But a cave is part of the city. This that we say that a cave is part of the city, Rabbi Yisai, is a very particular cave. It's a cave that starts out with a nice little house. Oh, I'm thinking now next to Bet Shemesh is a place called Marat Netifim, famous, what is it called? Scholastic, whatever you say. How do you say it? Scholastic. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Marat Netifim. What is it?
Stalagmite, I think it is.
No. That's not how you pronounce it. Stalactite cave is the thing that comes down anyways. It's right next to Shemesh, in Shemesh. So that's a cave, but before you get into the cave, you have to pay money. So there's like a little house, there's a little structure leading into the cave. So that is considered a cave that's part of the city. That would be part of Bet Shemesh, let's say. What is it? Stalagmites, whatever. Anyway, ask the Gemara, how could that be? How can you tell me a cave has a structure in the front? But at the end of the day, then it's a house. So who cares about who cares that there's a cave? If you have a house that's next to the city, within 70 amma of a city, that's part of the city. You start your city from that house. You tell me it's a cave with a house. Shkoyach. So drop the cave, you have a house. What do you need a cave for? Says the Gemara, no. The house is not 4 amas. Together with the cave, it has 4 amas. Here's a picture, beautiful picture from Kol Halashon. It actually has a blow up of the house. Here's the city. Here's a cave. I don't know if you can see it. You make it out. Here's a cave. And there's a little house. And it says,
How far is the house there?
the house is within 70 amma. But it's not 4 amas, but it's most of the 4 amas, says Taisvis. You have to have most of the 4 amas. In other words, 2 and a little bit of the amma on the house, 1.9 on the cave. So together you have a house and a cave, and that's where you start. This is the line right over here. I don't know if you can make it out. Here's the line. That's where you tchum. The orange line starts from this line right over here, not from this city, because you have a cave and a house structured together.
When you're in the cave, how far can you go inside the cave?
No, once you're in the cave, the whole cave is one rishus. That's what we said. Then you show.
In a cave, you can go for miles and miles. No problem.
It's one house. A house is a house. Doesn't matter how big. You could have Bill Gates' house, a 50,000 square foot house. It's considered 4 amas halachically. No, you were talking about something else. You were talking about the cave that had 2 openings. 2 openings on top, but in the cave itself, it's 4,000 amas on the bottom. You can go as far as you want. On the inside the cave, you can go as far as you want. It's 4,000 amas. Huh? What? Which piece? Let's go. We'll talk afterwards. Omar Avona. No. It's the lactates. Mashu kaza. Omar Avona. Yoishrei Tzrifin. Here's the people. Nomad. What are they called in Hebrew? They're the Arabs that just the Bedouins. There you go. The Bedouins that live in these huts, literally like this. Adayam said this is how they live. In little huts, okay? Sukkahs, we're talking about sukkahs, mamish, and Yonim the Yomi Eruvin. In huts. Says the Gemara that these hut dwellers, they don't get any tchum. From where they are, they go weiter. They're not in the city. So this guy back here is going to say, wait a minute, but the tchum should start by my friend. No, his friend is a blowaway tent. That's nothing. As the Gemara, kasher from the Midbar. Moser Rav Chizda, v'yachnu Yardim Beis HaYishimois, v'omer Rav Chano. So they Klal Yisrael camped ala Yarden Beis HaYishimois, this place. Says Rav Chano, l'di chazeli ahu asro. I saw this place with my own eyes. V'avet tlosa parsa al tlosa parsi. In today's measurements, something like 6 miles by 6 miles, 7 by 7, 6.5, whatever, in that range. Like imagine 6 miles by 6 miles. That's how large their encampment was. Okay, so it's the kasha. V'tanya kishehi nifnin, when they had to relieve themselves, a nifnin loy lifneim v'loy l'tzideim el alachreim. And this encampment over here, ala yardim beis ha'yishimois, they could only go backwards. They can't go to the side of the camp. Why? Because tomorrow HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to tell them, pick yourselves up, let's go. Where are we going? They don't know. They could go to the right, they could go to the left, and they go forward. Most likely, 99% chance that they're not going to go backwards. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to make them go back from where they came. They are most likely going to go forward. Right? It's not nice to make them go backwards. So they're going to go right, left, or front. So maybe they cannot relieve themselves right, front, and left. But they could relieve themselves back. Now, if a guy lives at the other end of camp, he can relieve himself in the front of the camp. So he has to go to the back of the camp. He has to walk 6 miles on Shabbos. 6 miles, and relieve himself all the way in the back of the camp, behind the camp. No, but Klal Yisrael are in huts. We make sukkahs. Why are we making sukkahs? Tomorrow. Today, United States, tonight, right now. A hut is not a tchum. How could I walk from one sukkah to the other 6 miles, basing it on all these sukkahs that are along the way, when a sukkah is not part of a tchum? They didn't have structures. It wasn't made out of metal, cement, nice houses. These were flimsy huts. That's why we make a sukkah. But only behind them. You asked me a question from the Midbar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to declare to them when to get up, when they should make a camp, when they should rest, when they should travel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes them considered, they are considered kavua, they are there to stay for the time being. So their flimsy huts have halacha of a house, and Memela I could walk 6 miles through these huts. It's not considered that I'm going out of the tchum. By the way, I'm thinking now, Klal Yisrael didn't have to relieve themselves in the midbar. If they ate man, they didn't have to. So if they messed up and they took some candy from a guy, or maybe the slav, I'm not sure about the slav, probably the slav they had to go to the bathroom. But the man, they didn't have to relieve themselves. So it wasn't such a big problem for them. That one guy, I'm saying, it's not that everybody had to walk 6 miles in Shabbos. A few people that had taivas and went out of their way to eat food they shouldn't be eating, then they had to go. Fine. If within these huts you have 3 chatzeros, 1, 2, 3, these are courtyards. A courtyard could only be when you have 2 houses. 2 houses create a courtyard. So you have 1, 2, 3 times 2 houses. So you have a total of 6 houses. Each courtyard has 2 houses. And you have huts everywhere. So the houses make this place a kavua place. That was my last chart for today. All right, hold. We're almost done. Let's finish this up. These people that live in huts, the Bedouins, and these people that live in the desert, their life is not a life. They don't enjoy the pleasures of life. They're constantly running. They constantly have to live through all the elements, the heat, the cold, the rain. You should know that their wives don't belong to them, and therefore their children don't belong to them. The Gemara explains, person that lives in a tzrif, in a hut, he's like he lives in a cemetery, he lives in a caver. And on his children and his daughters, his daughters are considered behemoths, meaning mamzerais. They're not his daughters. My time, why? The men don't have bathhouses, so the men have to travel far to get to a bathhouse. Oh, and then comes some Russia, and okay, whatever. I was thinking about a mashal bizman hazeh, certain places in the summer, whatever. Not going to go there. I go about it.
Why do they do all go at the same time?
But the husband disappears and he has to go to the merchatz, then people step in. And there's znus, and the husband can't be sure that's his children. His wife is not his children are not his daughter becomes a behemoth. Now, I'm just thinking to myself out loud here, only the men went to the bathhouse. Can you imagine what women were talking about? To the taiva, no, this is Nervaya. They didn't even go to the bathhouse, the women. Says the Gemara, another pshat is because the women had to go to the mikvah. And when they went to the mikvah, they went in groups, and the bad guys would see these women walking to the mikvah, then they would take advantage. My benayu. What's the difference in the two tirutzim? If there was a river that wasn't good, says Rashi, you can't bathe yourself in the river. It was a terrible river. But it was good enough for Hilchas mikvah was okay. So the women, nobody would take advantage because they had a mikvah right there next to the house. But the husband still had to go to the Beis HaMerchatz. So Memela, they would take advantage then. Don't live in the desert, so you don't have these issues. Omer Avuna. Kolir Shem Bayarak. Any city that doesn't have vegetables, why? Because vegetables are really good it's a good source of energy, and they're very cheap. And therefore, you can learn Torah. Now, Taisus just points out here that we learned in Masechtas Shabbos Daf Kuf Mem that it's not good for a Talmid Chacham to eat vegetables. It makes you want to eat more. So he says, and you're going to eat a lot of bread, etc. So you're going to actually end up spending more money. So he says, no, this Gemara is talking about cooked vegetables. Over there it's talking about raw vegetables. Just important to know the difference. Hey, remember the Yorg Malia. So what are you telling me? Vegetables are good for you? But Tanya, I thought this is very interesting because it's very different than what we understand today and what people are making. Think about it. People like to do a lot of exercise and they eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of salad, and a lot of whole wheat bread. But Tanya, three things cause a person to relieve himself a lot. They bend the person over. Kitzer, he loses his strength. And they cause him to lose 1/500th of his eyesight. Pas kibar. Whole wheat bread is no good for you. V'shecher chodosh. And new beer, fresh beer. V'yarak and vegetables. Mamish, the opposite of what beer is geschmack for you. Whole wheat bread. Don't eat the regular bread. Only whole wheat. And eat a lot of salad. Loy kashya. Ha betumi v'karti. Leek, garlic, tumis, garlic and leek. That's, according to one Pshat and Rashi, that's how Rashi goes, that's good for you. Ha b'shayarki. All the other vegetables of the world, no good for you. Kesanya shum yarok. Garlic is considered a vegetable. Creation leek is chatzi yarok, is only considered half a vegetable. Nira snoin. If you see a radish, nira samchaim. That's life. You'll get to live. Votanya niritz noin niris samamav. So it says another place. See a radish? That's terrible. It's a killer. Loikashu kan balden. The leaves are bad for you. Can be moist. The mother vegetable, the actual vegetable itself, is good for you. Can be moist. In the summer, the radish is very good for you. Can be moist shomim. And over here, in the winter time, radish is no good for you. Rabboisai, Shkoyach, thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful Yom Tov to everybody. Wonderful Chalamoyed if you're in Eretz Yisrael. And right now we are sleeping in the sukkah if you're in Eretz Yisrael. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Shkoyach, it's beautiful. Thank you very much. I don't think anybody left for the second shir. Unbelievable.
No one.
No one. Okay, beautiful. A gute Nacht, everybody. Chaperayim some shlaf. We'll be back here at 11:15 in the morning tomorrow for a beautiful Daf Nun Vav.